the race, in the developments for the race for president.
Thank you to everyone in South Carolina who decided to be with us in changing Washington.
Newt Gingrich wins the South Carolina Republican primary and does so in convincing fashion. And here are the numbers out of South Carolina tonight, with 99% of the vote now in. Gingrich taking 40% of the vote, a big come-from-behind win for a candidate that was down in the polls just a week ago. Mitt Romney, who was the front-runner, finished second with 28%. Rick Santorum, who won Iowa, received 17% of the vote. And Texas Congressman Ron Paul finished with 13% tonight in South Carolina. A political reporter, Rick Albin, is here to break all this down for us in 3 primaries, 3 different winners. What does it mean for the race moving forward, and then particularly with the Michigan vote coming up here later next month?
It means that Michigan could be a real hot spot as we move on in this calendar, and we'll show you in just a second. But what really stands out tonight is not so much that Gingrich won, because we saw in the last few days he was well within the margin, and the possibility that he could get there was clear as early as Thursday of this week. And then looking at the average of the numbers on Friday, it was pretty clear he was going to have a very good showing. But that he won so convincingly by at least 12 points over Romney is a bit of a surprise, and it changes the complexion of this race as the calendar moves forward. The next big race is Florida. Right now, Mitt Romney has about an 8-point lead there, but they haven't taken a poll in Florida since Tuesday. Remember, Tuesday night was a big debate night for Gingrich. There was that other tremendous night where he really took on the media in that debate, and now this win. So the next poll that you see out of Florida could change the complexion of that race too. Then you go to Nevada and Maine. That Maine vote goes on for a week. Colorado and Minnesota, these are not considered to be major primaries, important but not major. Here's the next big major date right down here. Michigan and Arizona. They split away from the East Coast and they go all the way to the Southwest and of course here into the upper Midwest. Question is, what happens in Michigan? The reason that becomes important is because Michigan will be a very pivotal state in the general election. And right now you've got 4 people that are still in this race. What does Ron Paul do now with a 4th place finish? What does Rick Santorum do? We know he is already moving to Florida. He's got his campaign set up there. The real question then that lingers is what happens next Tuesday. Whatever happens in Michigan will set the tone for Super Tuesday. And it's on that day where you've got like a dozen primaries all over the country. Mitt Romney has money and organization that Newt Gingrich doesn't have right now. But what does a double-digit win in South Carolina mean for that campaign, and what happens here in Michigan? Because remember, it's not winner take all, it's a proportional vote. So any candidate that comes in here and does well, wins a congressional district, for example, or gets a high enough percentage of votes, still going to take some delegates out of here. So it doesn't mean that Romney gets to take his home state just by default. It's going to be very interesting, and what happens here in Michigan on the 28th can have a big impact.
And depending on what happens, there'll be a different vibe, but Michigan's going to be important regardless.
We're going to be in play all the way through November. We're going to see, this is going to look more like 2000 than any presidential election we've seen since then.
All right, Rick, of course, will keep us up to date on that as well.